something to say. You wanted to play, then come running my way and ruin G status is dead. No, ready to go, about to go in, you already know. Got my instructions, now give me your audience, hand me your mic and I'm ready to blow. One for the money, two for the show, three for everybody who encouraged me to go, get it. We finally did it, I ain't never turning back, shawty. I'm fully committed to my beliefs, I'm committed to the city. I'm about to give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for.
And now, from a QAnon quadruple fortified wine cellar in a compound in the heart of Appalachia, it's the unicorn of the unknown, the mouthpiece of America, the speaker of the secret, and the host of JimSpiracy, Jimmy Dodds.
Welcome to another episode of JimSpiracy. I'm your host, Jimmy Dodds. Hey, man, I love you like a play cousin. I appreciate you tuning in. You know what, man? I'm going to start the show off by pissing some people off today. I'm going to start the show off by saying God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. See, I keep telling y'all on this show that he said that where two or more are gathered in my name, he said he'll be there. I told y'all, I'm here. You're here. So he's here. Let's have a good time, man. Let's learn a little something. Woo! Listen here. Let me say this, man, and I want to really be honest with you. I want to thank all of y'all for watching this show and just being faithful to the show. I want to thank all three of y'all. And by all three of y'all, I mean me, my producer, and our number one fan, Christina Luke. And I hope I'm saying your name right, Christine. Christine is always like giving me words of encouragement. She said, I'm so happy at how well the show is going. Each episode is getting better and better. I'm learning interesting things. Please keep it up because we all need our Uncle Jimmy fix these days. What? She said on the second show, very smooth. I love the street interviews. Keep it up. Say what? And she also sent out this tweet. She said, maybe the technical difficulties were to keep it from sharing the truth. If they're on to you, you might be on to the right track. She said, please do your next episode soon. You're the best. No, Christine, you're the best, okay? You're a sweetheart. And I'm here to tell you right now, I am making you the president of the JimSpiracy fan club, okay? Because I appreciate that. And I was feeling kind of bad, but if you think about it, if 3 people watched the show and 1 person responded, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good response ratio. So I'm kind of on to that. All I need to do is like get 1 more and I'm on to something, okay? Christine, thank you. I appreciate you. And I really, really, really do. It means a lot to me, man. Listen, I want to share a story with y'all. I'm not really, look, I just told you what I just said to you, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm gonna try to say this the best I can. My spirits is a little down. My spirits is down because of this show's not. I'm a little better than that, man. The last show that we did, man, that was a pretty darn good show. And I just felt like, I should have done more. I should have done better. And, it was just getting to me a little bit. And then I had the potential guest that we were going to have this week. He canceled. I felt some kind of way. I was kind of offended because his reason for canceling was because the show rhymed with conspiracy. And he told my people that We only deal in facts. Okay, well, excuse me, but allow me to say, au contraire, mon frere. Because if you saw my last show, you saw the Chupacabra lady, did you not? You did see Dr. Phyllis Canyon come on here with her own stuffed Chupacabra, right? So we put that whole mystery to bed about whether or not the Chupacabra is real. So yeah, we deal in facts here at JimSpiracy also. And I was down also because of this guest. I was down because I wanted to talk about this case of the missing people in the national parks. And I thought that was a very, it was a good topic. And I wanted to talk about it because I think that it's something that we really, really, really should talk about. And, just, I don't know, to want to do something and then just to have somebody to pull out on you. And let me just be honest with you. It wasn't just that guest that pulled out on me. Everybody pulled out. No sense in me trying to set up and like, oh, that one guest. Man, everybody pulled out on us. Nobody. Everybody. We ain't got no guests. Okay. So I was feeling some kind of way this morning. And honestly, me and the devil was kind of involved in a wrestling match this morning. And I'm going to tell y'all something right now. I don't know if y'all know this, but the devil be cheating. Okay. The devil don't play fair. And I'm trying to tell y'all, man, when God wasn't looking, the devil went down in his trunks and pulled out some brass knuckles. And he hit me. Pow! He hit me hard. Felt like he knocked the soul out of my body. And I was shook a little bit. And, God asked me, God said, do you want to continue? And before I could even answer, man, the devil threw me into the ropes. And as I came off the ropes, man, he grabbed me, threw me in the sleeper hole. And I'm not going to lie to y'all people. Uncle Jimmy was going down. It wasn't looking good for the home bro. You understand what I'm saying? And God said, you all right? And he held my hand up and my hand went down. He held my hand up and went down again. It went up one more time. And instead of it falling, I kind of reached and got some power. I felt some strength come from somewhere. And I held my hand like this, and the crowd began to cheer. They began screaming. They started saying, get up, get up. And I'm here to tell y'all, luckily, at that moment, I woke up because it was at that time that I realized that I almost peed on myself. So seriously, I'm sorry. That was bad for me to do that. But listen, I called my producer this morning. I found out that we didn't have no guests today. And like I said, man, I was about ready to pack it in. And before I could actually tell him that I was ready to pack it in, the phone got disconnected. And rather than me try to just hurry up and call him back, man, I went and cooked my boys some breakfast. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to chuck it in. And like 5 minutes later, I checked my phone again and I have a message. And the message says, we booked not one, but two amazing guests. Say what? 5 minutes ago, we didn't have no guests. Now we got two guests. We got a guest tonight, and we also have a guest Tuesday night. Yeah, that's right. We can remove the show to Tuesday night. Allegedly. For right now, that's what we're going to do. So this Tuesday, we're going to be back. That's going to be our new time slot. This guest that we have, and for this episode, it's going to be, let me just put it like this. Listen to me. It's going to be explosive. Okay? It's going to be explosive. All right? Just remember those words. That's going to be Tuesday on JimSpiracy. God is good all the time, man. By the way, do me a favor, man. Stay tuned to the end of the show. If you stay tuned through the end of the theme song, we always have some little gems, some little things from the man on the street that probably wasn't good enough to make it in the original cut, and we could probably get in trouble for. Nonetheless, listen. Tonight we have a legend, Mr. Steve Stockton. Steve's the author of the book, The National Park Mysteries. It's a series of strange things in the woods, okay? And he runs this very popular YouTube page called Missing Persons Mystery. You got to go listen to it, and it's so enjoyable to listen to. And we're also going to be talking about little Ryker Webb. Ryker Webb is a little 3-year-old boy that was found missing out in the woods. And I ain't just talking about no woods. I'm talking about the wilderness. There's a difference. He was found missing in the woods after 3 days, completely unharmed. Take a look at this. Wow. We're going to have Steve on to explain it. But also, here's our poll right here. Check this out. Our Twitter poll about Ryker Webb is this just a simple mistake? Was he abducted by aliens? Or was he abducted by something supernatural? Run over to my Twitter poll and tell me what you think at Uncle Jimmy Dodds. Is that my Twitter handle? I think. Yeah. Run over there at Uncle Jimmy Dodds and give a vote. And also, if you add the 2 abductions together right now, you can see that we somehow or another, y'all think that some abduction stuff is going on, and people are out here celebrating, talking about they found little Ryker, and they're happy. They're out there hollering, I mean, let's be honest now. We're living in a world where, it's all full of bad news. And here, this little 3-year-old boy, after 3 days, was found, and it's a joyous story, and everybody should be happy, right? Everybody should be happy, right? Okay, well, and not my people. I would like to make a segment called "My People Ain't Shit." I'm gonna be honest with you, because instead of my people being rejoicing, my people is tweeting out stuff like this. Y'all better sleep with 2 eyes open. That ain't the same child. That's Annabelle's baby brother now. Okay? Let me see another. Let me see another one of these, man. Somebody said it's good to see Chuck Norris's son is doing well. See. Hold up. Give me another one, man. See, my people ain't. Look, somebody said that he gonna be fighting demons in 3 to 5 years. Somebody said, Mia, you gonna get it for this one. Mia said that I am 99.99999 sure that this is a pet cemetery situation. What was that little boy said in Pet Cemetery? No. Scary. Anyway, look, and if any of y'all, come on, man, y'all know y'all looked at that little boy, man. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna be so serious with y'all. If that was my son and he came out of the woods, let's look at that picture one more time. Now look at that lovely little boy right there. And he came out the woods looking like that right there. They're gonna put him in the ambulance and they're gonna take him and get him examined. Well, I'm gonna ask that they hold him over for some further examinations. I need him to get checked out. And I need to do some other things to him. One of the first things I'm gonna do is we're gonna get him a nice little bath and throw some holy water on him. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, that little fella ain't coming back in my house. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna take that little fella to somebody's gas station and drop him off up under one of them yellow signs. You know, I I know it's a little late for a plan B, but we can always do a plan Z, okay? Anyway, we're gonna be right back with our guest, Steve Stockton. I'm sorry, man, but y'all know when y'all going to hell for that, man. Later.
Missing persons. The concept and the tragedy of that term has captivated the American media for generations. The thought of a loved one going missing taps into our deepest fears as human beings. Over 500,000 missing person reports are filed every year, with the vast majority being juveniles. In our age of technology, information, and GPS, when something so crucial, the location of your child, is unknown, our minds turn to other great unknowns. Why do so many of the most bizarre cases start and end in America's national parks and wilderness? Could evil or feral men inhabit those millions of acres? Are there really mysterious creatures lurking amongst the trees? Have otherworldly beings taken up residence in our forests? No one claims to have all the answers, but this episode's guest has literally written the book on this topic. And tonight, Steve Stockton will speculate about a case from last month. Montana toddler Ryker Webb's epic and terrifying disappearance fascinated the country for 3 days, and then was forgotten. Although Ryker was found, the strange pictures and details of the case fueled speculation that there was more to the story. And while the Montana authorities may have closed this case, here at JimSpiracy, we intend to ask the questions that all too many refuse or are afraid to ask.
All right, we're back here with our featured guest, the man of the hour, and I'm talking about Mr. Steve Stockton. I told you about Steve on the break, so let's get right to it. Mr. Stockton, thank you so much for being here with us on JimSpiracy, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Uncle Jimmy. Glad to be here with you. Honor and the privilege is all mine. You are a legend, sir.
Stop it. Stop it. Go ahead. Say some more. Say some more. Listen, first of all, man, I have to say, I don't know how I feel to have somebody on. Listen, that beard right there is what I'm striving for. That beard is
I
what
just
I'm
had it trimmed
for.
recently. I've been growing this about 3 years. Had the whole thing, but got to looking a little too Gandalf there, and so I trimmed the sides off, and everybody's like, no, grow it back. So I'm in the process, and you can see there it's getting kind of scraggly, but that's my whole hillbilly wizard look. I'm originally from the mountains of East Tennessee there, so you got a little
Hillbilly
thing to
wizard.
uphold.
I like that. Now, you know they say that I think the Bible says you can tell a young man by the strength in his arms, but you judge a wise man by the gray in his head, right?
Yeah, there you go. I
Okay.
believe you got
Listen,
me beat on the gray. I think yours is whiter than mine.
well, that's good. That's good. That's a
That's
beautiful
good.
thing.
Yeah, the wisdom there. Can't
Mr.
buy that. You
Stockton,
can't
listen.
fake it.
Hey, look, I believe in faking it till you make it. Before I get started, and I know you hear this all the time, but tell us about your background, man, because it goes too far to just. I can't do it any justice. Tell us about your background, sir.
Well, like I said, I grew up in East Tennessee, Knoxville, Oak Ridge, that area. My family, my mom's side, they're from the Cades Cove area in the Smokies. My dad's side of the family from Middle Tennessee, not too far from where you're at over there in Fentress County, on the Cumberland Plateau. So come by it honest. Just have learned to do a few cool things, and interest in the paranormal has carried me this far. Write books. I've got a couple of YouTube channels that I do, and just living the life, man.
What started you off as far as just you personally right here that made you go paranormal? It clicked for you. Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, in particular, I had a really unusual occurrence. Now, I'd had some things happen prior to this, but when I was between 5 and 6 years old, I saw a full body apparition. And it didn't scare me. It was a little kid that ran across the country road where we lived, kind of catty cornered, ran down into our yard. And if you've ever seen little kids that have barely mastered the art of walking, they'll start running sometimes and don't know how to stop, and they'll just fall down. Well, when the kid fell down, he just ceased to exist. He wasn't there anymore. I was probably 100 feet away. Didn't take my eyes off the spot. Went straight to it. No kid, no hole that he could have fallen in, nothing like that. Didn't scare me, but it piqued my interest. I was like, oh, what was that? That's not supposed to happen. Even at 5, almost 6 years old, I knew that wasn't a normal thing. So that was what really started my interest in everything. And then my maternal grandmother, she was a self-proclaimed gypsy witch. Now, like I said, she was from the Cades Cove area, so nowadays she'd be known as a granny witch or kitchen witch, but she liked having that gypsy tag on there. I think maybe somewhere way back in the lineage there was a connection to the old country, but she's from the Smoky Mountains. And she knew every legend, ghost story, superstition, haunts, boogers, you know it, just the works, whatever you can think of. And she gave me a lot of inspiration too. And then just started collecting stories, and in fact had the impetus to do that at her funeral. That was, of course, that was the quietest and stillest I'd ever seen her. And I thought, all those stories, all those legends, everything, it's right there with her. And I thought, I'm not going to let that happen. So took the mantle on myself at that time to start cataloging these stories, talk to friends, family, friends of family, that sort of thing. And eventually that came to be my first book, Strange Things in the Woods. And then that just kind of blew up. There was a volume 2. It's been combined into one now. And I'd go on a show like yours, not as good as yours, but a show like yours. And invariably, the host, or if people called in, they would want to know, well, these are other people's stories. Do you have any stories? So I'd trot out one thing or another. I've had a lifetime of strange experiences. And I got to thinking about that. And I thought, there's probably enough for a book there. And that's how My Strange World, my third book, came about. That's my autobiographical account of some of my paranormal experiences. There's at least a volume 2 that could be done out of that. And just kind of went from there. I decided to do a YouTube channel, and I had narrated a story out of my book about Dennis Martin, little boy that went missing in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Father's Day, 1969. So I lived in Knoxville. He lived in Knoxville too. He was only about a year older than me. And it was the first time that my childlike mind really wrapped around the fact that, a kid can go missing and never be found again. Followed that case from its inception somewhere. I've got a couple of scrapbooks full of clippings about that case. At that time, Knoxville had 2 newspapers. The morning paper was the Knoxville Journal. The evening and the Sunday paper was the Knoxville News Sentinel. And I followed that case, clipped it out, and he was never found. It's been 50-something years now, and still no idea what happened to him. So I'd narrated that, and then Bill Melder, who actually started Missing Persons and Mysteries, heard that, got in touch with me and said, hey, I'd like for you to come and narrate for my channel. I used to get that occasionally, and I'd go and look, and it would be somebody, with couple of hundred subs or something like that. So I would pass. But when I looked at his, he had like 10,000 subscribers. And so that was a big deal to me at the time. I went over, he put me to work, ended up making me a full partner in the channel. And the rest is history. This time about a year ago, I think we had around 60 or 70,000 subscribers. Well, this morning we passed 215,000 subscribers and got about 2.7 million views in the last month.
Well,
so we're doing something right over there. People are interested in the missing, and particularly the ones that have a supernatural edge to them.
Well, let me say that first of all, I just simply Googled your name, Steve Stockton, and I just ran into a plethora of videos, just a plethora. And I think one of the things that really, and I'm glad you said that, because your voice is just a calming voice, and you're so I mean, I just ended up at, we were ready to roll, and we were ready to, hold on, I have to finish this one. And hopefully I'm gonna have enough time to talk to you about this, because the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, well, is just and you've written a book about national parks and the things you did a series about missing, the disappearances and what's going on in the national parks. If I could just say that this episode, I wanted to talk about the missing. Originally, I was wanting to talk about the missing kids, and the more I just realized that there's a lot of people that are coming up missing out of our parks.
There are, and it's just it's staggering when you stop and think about it. That something is like a national park, and apparently they don't keep records. They don't even know for sure how many people are missing.
They're keeping records.
They are, but officially they claim not to. And that's all about the tourism dollars. If you publicize that, well, something's out there in the park taking people, so be careful. They're not going to. The tourism will fall off. Places like, say, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, for instance. Tourism is the king there. I mean, you've got Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, where Dollywood is, and all that. All those people work in the tourism industry, and service people that are in the tourism industry. So, the national parks shut down. It put a real hurting on that area, and likewise any of the national parks. Great Smokies, I reference it a lot because that's where I'm from, and it's also the most visited national park in the country. Even last year, with everything going on, it saw over 12 million visitors, and Yosemite was close behind with, I think, about 5 or 6 million. So people like to go to the national parks. There's enjoyment to be had out there, whether you like to hike or camp or whatever you like to do. But there's a dangerous side to it. There is some strange things that go on out there.
Steve, give me a number. What's the rough amount? What's the rough count of the amount of missing persons that come up missing that are just missing right now out of our national?
Yeah, there's a variance in that. It just depends on who you talk to and what figures you go by, because some people are found either deceased or alive. Some people come back. Right now, I think it's sitting around 6,000 people in the United States that are missing in our national parks.
One of the things, if let's just go. Let's talk about what's the kid's name? Ryker Webb.
Ryker Webb. That is a very strange case.
Okay, could you set that up for my people and just tell them about this story, man?
Little boy in Montana. He was outside playing with the dog, and suddenly the parents realized they haven't seen him in a while. They go outside and they don't see him. And oddly enough, no shade on the parents. Everybody would react differently to a case like that. Instead of alerting the authorities right away, apparently they walked around the yard where they lived there, calling his name out for a couple of hours. And it was actually the neighbor that heard him continuing to call for him that called the authorities and got them involved. Now, this is in Montana. There's some rugged wilderness up there in that area where he lives and was from. And they eventually found him 2 days later, it's either 2 or 3 days later. He's 3 years old. Now, there was some problems with that, too. First, he was reported as being 4, and then they corrected that to 3. So he was 3 days later. They find him over 2.5 miles away. There was a cabin up there. It was empty at the time. It was somebody's personal hunting cabin, a bug out spot. And he was found in a shed behind that. Okay, it was 2 days later. Too many 2s and 3s in there. Get an old man like me confused. But look at the distance he traveled there. Now, this, again, is a 3-year-old kid. He was wearing those little footed pajamas that they show him in there. And there was storms that rolled in, Jimmy. I mean, inclement weather. Now, that 2.4 miles, that's a pretty good little hike for a kid by himself, even if he had his dog with him. That's one thing we don't know, and we've got more comments on that than just about anything. People want to know about the dog. People are more upset when a dog goes missing sometimes than they are a person. But traveled those 2.5 miles by himself, apparently. But if you look at those pajamas he's got on, those little footed pajamas, I mean, they're dirty, they're worn, but they don't look like, if you look at the feet of those, I mean, they're, his toes sticking out and stuff there, but it doesn't look like somebody that's walked in the wilderness for 2.5 miles. He'd be covered in mud and no telling what else. And then that look on his face. We had people on social media and in the comments on the channel saying, that's not even the same kid. Whatever that is, put
I
it
was
back
going
in
to
the
say
woods.
that, but I didn't want you to hang up on me. I was going to say that ain't the same damn kid that went into them woods 3 days earlier.
Yeah, that was our thought. And again, on our channel, just because, and especially when it's a missing child, we have to deal in the facts, like Joe Friday on Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. But as far as my personal opinion, there's something really weird about this case. And we usually don't state our own opinions on there. But some of the comments were like, this isn't the same kid. Whatever this is, put it back in the woods and go find the right baby. Other people were saying this is a changeling. The Fae people got a hold of him and swapped babies out. And
the what
just
people?
all
the
kinds
what people?
Of the Fae, the fairy folk, the little folk that some people believe live out in the woods. Now, if you go back into older days, particularly in Ireland and places like that, the belief in the Fae was almost a religion, and probably still is in some of those little communities, where they believed that there were little people that did things in the woods, that took people, that stole things. That there's entire books written about the Fae, F-A-E. And even some of the Native American legends, they talk about the little people. The Cherokee, they're in the Smokies. They've got legends of the little people. They've also got legends of hairy giants that they used to war with. There's a story from Ireland from the early 1800s about some people that encountered two little men in a horseless buggy that came from the sky. Well, that's a UFO. If you buy into the faith theory, and a lot of people don't. I mean, even people that believe in UFOs and in Bigfoot, they'll kind of snicker at you, if you start talking about the Fae, but it kind of ties it all together. So that's just one of my personal theories that I like to roll around in my head. I'm an insomniac, and when I'm laying there 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning, that's the kind of stuff I ponder. But I'm about your age. I'm a little bit younger than you are. I was born in 1963. I'll be 59 on Halloween. But I remember seeing Vietnam vets that came back when I was a kid. And that's kind of the look that some of them had. You look at that little boy, he's got what they call that 1,000-yard stare there. He's seen something. He's seen some stuff. I mean, look at that poor little kid. Now I know people say, well,
Steve,
he's dehydrated. He was scared.
Hold on for a second, Steve, because you're talking about that look, and I want to stop you right there, because I watched your story, and you talked about when they found this kid. You talked about he was scared. Well, any 3-year-old kid, when you find a kid, when you're found after 3 days, whoa, I'm happy. Why would you be scared?
Well, that was
Does
the
that
odd
make sense,
thing.
or am I just
The only way they found him, they heard him talking apparently to himself in the shed behind that cabin, and he had either been sleeping in or on a grass collecting bag that goes behind a mower. So he, I guess he had some survival skills or something. He was quite the little man there for 3.
All those years he spent in the mountains, I'm sure he picked up some knowledge there.
Well, granted, and devil's advocate here, but he did grow up in the area. I'm sure that his parents took him out into nature and stuff. But still, at 3 years old, I couldn't even tie my shoes.
I was about to say I'd be dead as hell. I wasn't gonna make. One thing I'm gonna say this because I want to keep going here. But I thought this was very interesting, and I got it from listening to you talk about the story, and you just said it. When we talk about abductions in the parks, there's one phenomenon that goes with all of these abductions, and that's weather. Mm-hmm. Am I right, or am I just?
You are 100% correct on that. It's just about every case that we've covered. We've covered several hundred of them. I've written about almost that many, not quite yet. But inclement weather. Same thing with the Dennis Martin case that I referenced there. Right after he went missing, storms, torrential rain blew up. It's either storms, a freak snowstorm, or something weather related will happen. And now I've heard people again try to excuse that away and say, well, it's out in the woods. The weather's always changing and stuff here there. But what are the odds that it would happen just when somebody goes missing and they're trying to organize this search effort? Then suddenly the weather turns foul. It's like something out there, whatever it is, whoever it is, whatever, has some kind of control.
You know what's
over the
out
weather.
there. You know what's out there. I've listened. I've been binging your channel. You know exactly what's out there, and you said, and I quote, "The national parks are haunted."
Well, that's true to a degree as well. There's a lot of deaths in those places, either by accident or by design. And particularly,
Well,
if you
hold
notice
on. Stay right there. Stay right
Sure.
there. By design. Who would design such a thing? What is this design you speak of, Mr. Stockton?
Well,
I'm
there's two
sorry.
ways to approach that. There's two ways to approach that. There are people that unfortunately do go out in the woods to do the self checkout, if you catch my meaning there. But even then, Jimmy, you have to think about that. If you were going out there to end it all, how would you be able to get into a place, and usually it's in a short amount of time, where nobody ever finds you? I mean, yeah, there's insect and animal predation and things like that, but they can't eat everything. They're not going to eat your blue jeans or your T-shirt or your boots or your backpack or whatever you took with you.
They're not going to rip you limb from limb, Steve.
But even if they did, there's going to be physical forensic evidence of that. That's another thing that we hear. Oh, a bear got him or a big cat. I've seen crime scene photos, or whatever you want to call them, forensic photos of bear and big cat attacks. There's blood. There's a disturbance. There's ripped clothing. There's stuff left behind. It doesn't take everything and you with it, and it doesn't leave the ground cover undisturbed. So I don't buy that. Now, some cases, maybe.
Do you know the story? And I don't want to act like I know of the young kid that they thought was drug off of a trail. And they said he was drug off by a bobcat, but they ended up finding him 2 or 3 days later. And he's still alive. And he still has his pajamas there. And there's no signs of a mountain lion dragging him anywhere. There's no blood on the pajamas. And I guess his pajama pants were found off. No bobcat. Are you aware of that case?
Yeah, I've heard that story and others very similar to it. One of the most interesting ones I hear often is where a very small child will go missing and then they find him a few days later alive. And they'll talk about that a bear, or one boy said a big dog, took care of him, cuddled with him at night, fed him berries. You and I both know a bear don't cuddle with a kid. Nor does a big dog might, but it's not going to go pick berries and feed them to you. So there's a lot of stuff where I think it's just because the child's too young or doesn't have any concept of some kind of creature. Now, I'm not saying it's all.
He has a concept. He knows what happened. We've heard of Bigfoots eating berries, haven't we?
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of leading up to. Now, all the circumstances are not the same. I don't think it's all Bigfoot. It's not all something supernatural. There's other people that have theories of some type of UFO abduction. There's theories of government, either ours or somebody else's, that they're taking people, because a lot of the people that go missing, particularly adults, fit into certain categories. People that you wouldn't think of that would go missing, people that are very hale, very hardy, marathoners, people with exceptional strength, people that are exceptionally smart. A lot of the missing are PhDs, or at least well-educated people that ought to know better. People that I don't know, man. There is no singular answer. Other people, there's the serial killer theory that there's serial killers or a group of them out there taking people. But listen, again, if they
I've heard of black people coming up missing, Steve. Yeah, I done heard of black people coming up missing in the woods. Now, when black people start coming up missing in the woods, we got a problem, man.
Yeah, and
I
we've
saw
had it.
that story. You, I
We've
mean,
had
and
people
I'm
ask about that, like, why do you cover all these white people? It's like, well, there's not that many people of color that go missing in the woods, and it's my thought that they've got enough sense not to go out there and get in someplace where something's going to get them.
you know why? You know why? And I'm going to tell you why. Honest to goodness, because we had a grandma somewhere that told us about going outside, that
Hmm.
warned us about the rugaru,
Oh yeah.
that told us about things. I mean, seriously, I mean, it's a joke to go, oh, black people. No, we were warned. We were told
Hmm.
about things. And if I may, I'm going to try to keep going. Um, the Olympic National Park ritual killings.
Again, Ted Gunderson, ex FBI agent. That's his claim. And I was just up there 2 weeks ago looking around, but I didn't stay after dark. But I didn't see any evidence of anything like that. But then you necessarily wouldn't. I mean, I don't know exactly what to look for, but I was up there. I travel for the channel. Sandy, my head writer, she's also my traveling companion, personal assistant, chauffeur, bodyguard. We were up in Washington for a week there, the first part of June, hit 20 cities and 73 different places in about a week, traveled about 1,500 miles. We were in Olympic National Park and Olympic National Forest. We got more videos coming up on that. I'm starting to do more stuff on location and on camera. People seem to enjoy that. I did Mount Rainier a couple months ago, and a lot of people, that was the first time they'd ever seen my face in any of these videos, and that played well. So I've got one coming out in the next day or two where I went up to Mount St. Helens, close to where I live, and went to those places. But I think there's valid stories there. There's stories in other parks of where people would hear screaming in the night and cries for help, and they'd tell the rangers, and the rangers would just kind of, oh, okay. And then the next day they'd ask the rangers, oh, well, we didn't find anything. We didn't hear anything. Well, it must have, maybe it was somebody playing the TV too loud or something. But some of these places, there's things that go on that, that's people want to stay hidden for a reason. I mean, that whole word occult, that means hidden. So a lot of this occult activity and stuff, they want to hide it from prying eyes. And what better place than to go out into the deep, deep wilderness? And if you've ever been out there, and I'm not talking about the hiking trails and the touristy spots, I'm talking about when you go one-on-one with nature and go off trail and make your own way back in there. Now, that used to be my favorite way to hike. I didn't like the trails and the tourists and all that. But now, knowing what I know, I'd be scared to death to go out there by myself and go to the places that I used to go alone. Appalachian
Uh,
Trail, even that's kind of popular. I've been all up and down that, hiked on it in every state that it goes through except for Maine. But you couldn't pay me to solo hike it now.
tell me ah, what else is when I looked at your video, I got my thought back. When I looked at your video, one of the things that I saw that I just thought was very interesting, you tell the producers of your show that I got this, but there was you were talking and we were saying that you were saying that you didn't know, we don't know what happened to the people. And there was a situation, there was a woman being carried by two men, and both of the
Mhm.
men had their faces covered up and they had machetes. And I just thought that that was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting that that was the image that you used, because I was going to say, so because we've heard about these people that live in the woods. We've heard
Mhm.
about, I mean, we've talked about monsters, we've talked about aliens. I've heard that there are people off the grid that live in the woods.
Absolutely. We've done a couple of videos talking about that. I've got a chapter in my first book there, National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, where I talk about the possibility of feral human beings, maybe even cannibals, living in the Great Smoky Mountains Park. And people are like, oh, you couldn't get that far enough back in the woods to where people couldn't find you. But I just say, if you believe that, you've never been very far back in the woods. If you remember the Eric Rudolph, the abortion clinic bomber, he lived
Exactly.
in the Nantahala National Forest for about 5 years. And this was a
You
man
know.
with no real outdoor training or anything. There are all kinds of places to hide out there. There's places where probably another human, not in the last couple of centuries anyway, has ever set foot. So you can hide out
Oh,
there. And that's another kind of conspiracy theory that goes around, that a lot of these national parks are where they are to keep those feral people contained in there and to keep them away from the populace. There's another channel here on YouTube called South Force 10, and this guy talks about in the Smokies prior to the park going in, which was, I believe, 1934, that some of his relatives were hired by the government to go in and help weed out these creatures. He claims they're like a human Bigfoot hybrid, and sometimes they take people for breeding purposes. And he claims that they're the ones that took Dennis Martin and that they possibly even ate him. Now, boy, that's not something I want to think about. That's, kind of disrespectful unless you've got some hard and fast facts, but it's something to be considered until we have an answer, I think.
who was Dennis Martin?
He was a little boy that disappeared on Father's Day, June 1969, from Spence Field, just up above Cades Cove. Was there with his father, his brother, and his grandfather. They met another family up there, also named the Martins. And that's another thing in a lot of these disappearances. There
That's
will
the
be almost a,
story.
a Fordian circumstance where strange things are afoot all the way around. So the kids were playing hide and go seek. The father watches Dennis, who was a little bit smaller than the rest of the boys. He's wearing a red jacket. That's another common thing. People wearing
Yeah.
red tend to go missing. He goes around behind some bushes there, and then when the other kids come out, and a few minutes later, where'd Dennis go? And the kid's like, last time we saw him, we were playing hide and seek or whatever they were doing there. Father walks over to the bush where he last saw his son go in, walks around it, walks inside the clump of brush. No Dennis. He takes off in a run down the Appalachian Trail, which goes right through that area, calling his name, sends the grandfather down to the ranger station to get some help. And within just a few hours, there was the biggest search and rescue effort going on that the Great Smokies had ever seen up till that time. And like you're mentioning, inclement weather moved in, and they found no trace of him ever. So where'd he
That
go? What
that
happened
is
to
the
him?
case. That's the case that I was going to ask you about, because weren't there reports that one of the Martins, they didn't know at the time that a little boy was missing, but somebody thought they saw a man or a large bear
Mm-hmm.
carrying. Look at Uncle Jimmy. You see,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a
you
little.
got it, Jimmy. You know your beans here, buddy. Yeah, it was their name was the Key family. They were a few miles away from where Dennis went missing. They'd asked the ranger where they could go to see some bear, and he'd pointed them to a place. So they're up there looking around, and one of the kids points up a holler there and says, "Hey, Daddy, there's a bear." The man looks up and is like, "That's no
That
bear,"
ain't no
and he
bear.
said it was either a big hairy thing, or maybe a man wearing some kind of animal skins carrying something red over its shoulder. And this was just after they had heard a blood curdling scream. So again, there's that Fordian effect. Key. That's the Key family. It all kind of fits together like some kind of paranormal puzzle sometimes. But it's one of those puzzles where, maybe it's actually two or three puzzles mixed together, and we don't have the box to even look at and know what the picture's supposed to look like. And Charles Fort said one measures a circle beginning anywhere. So anywhere you start on some of these cases, you're just around and around and around. Paranormal onion, my friend Cisco Murdoch calls it. You peel back one layer, there's just more
That's
under
another
that.
one.
But
That's
that's the
another
thing,
one.
the joy to me in a lot of this, there are no answers. It's not a hunt for the answers for me anymore, but for the next question or set of questions, because none of it makes any sense.
I'm gonna throw you just a straight, just a straight loop, based off of what we've been told in life. Let's just say what we've been told? How much of what we've been told has just been a downright lie?
I'd say it's a very high percentage. We've been
I
lied
mean,
to
seriously,
by.
how much? Just, man.
I would say it's way up there, probably
God.
80% or more. And when it really struck me, I'd traveled overseas before in the 80s, but it really struck me. I went to Southeast Asia in the early 2000s and spent some time over there. And to watch the news over there and then watch the news from back home and just listen to the spin that was being put on things and how there was an agenda being pushed by one side or the other. I don't think we get that much actual news, maybe 10%, and the rest of it's a spin or an agenda or something like that. And I'm not calling out any one side or the other. I'm as apolitical as you can get. I think both sides are guilty of it. But we've been lied to about a lot of different things. And don't get me wrong, I love my country, but I don't trust my government.
That's a good one. Now listen here. Now, you've gone that far, and now we're getting ready to go down the rabbit hole, if you don't mind. Cause
absolutely, let's go. Let's walk and see, bud.
No, and here's the thing that's kind of interesting about this, and this is why I had to. This is when I said, "Hold on, I got to finish this," because this happens. People talk certain things. What I'm realizing happened. What I'm realizing right now for me in life is there are things that I was watching. There were things that I was told 10, 15 years ago, okay, 20 years ago. And suddenly, and a lot of people don't even think about it anymore, okay? The society, nobody's thinking about it. And I watched your video on it. And here's what I want to talk to you about, because we talked about people or whatever, groups, organizations, all right? Let's talk about the Denver International Airport.
Boy, that's a place. If you've ever been there, that place doesn't make any sense. You've got those murals, and again, you'd have to listen to the video or look up a description of them.
We got it.
There you got it right there. It's very apocalyptic. I mean, that's the end when you've already been through the bad stuff, but there's a dead soldier and all this piece. And look at that, people hiding from a soldier with a saber there and a weapon and destruction, and a woman with a deceased baby there crying. What is that? Why is that in an airport? You know, I've got some ideas. I don't know if you can see my shirt here, but that's and no, well, I'm not a member of any organization like that, and I'm not advertising for them. I'm just boosting the signal. I think there's things behind the scenes out there that we don't understand. People that pull the strings, people that do control it, whether you believe in the Illuminati or the Rothschilds or any of those, Council 13, the stuff that goes on at Bohemian Grove and all that. Made a video about that too. But yeah, the Denver airport makes no sense. I mean, for one, where they put it. There's another airport out there that's actually more convenient. The fact that they built the airport over existing stuff that was already there, they blame that on the Masons. And I don't throw shade at the Masons. My father was two different types of Mason. He was a York Rite and Scottish Rite. I forget which is which, but he was 32nd degree. 33 is as high as you can get, and it's an honorary degree, and he never went that. And I just don't think my dad, knowingly, the type of man he was and the way he raised me and taught me and stuff, I don't think he would have been involved in anything satanic or nefarious. Now that's, again, up in the upper echelons, who knows? But you have that in your church, your members, your congregation, they're good folks. But sometimes when you get up in the people that are in charge, pastor on down a little bit, you've got some, the devil goes to church, man. He sits on the front row.
I said he was one of the best singers in the choir.
There you go. But Denver Airport. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about this airport. We're making New World. Isn't this called the New World Airport or something?
It has been referred to It's something similar to that. I can't recall. It's been a while since I made that video. A lot of water under the bridge since then, Uncle Jimmy. But I'm getting on
Literally,
up there,
literally. I mean, we're
But
talking a lot of water up under the bridge, a lot of trucks up under the bridge. What's the name of that horse? Tell the people the name of that big horse that sits out there with the fiery
it's
red eyes.
unofficially referred to as Blucifer. It's a rearing stallion in blue with red glowing eyes. Now, some people claim, oh, well, that's the Colts or whatever, the Broncos, whatever the ball team is there. But I don't know. There's something strange about that. And the odd thing about that, the sculptor initially, when he was putting it together, a piece of it fell off and killed the man. His son actually continued on, but to me, that sounds like a sacrifice, whether intentional or not. And I don't know.
It
There's
sounds
just,
like a crazy
again,
ass
if
son,
anybody's
if you ask
interested, go
me.
watch the video and you can
Mhm.
hear some of my opinion about it. There's supposedly tunnels under that place that go all the way, out to a military base. And I wouldn't doubt it. I don't like, I've never flown in or out of that airport, but I've had layovers there and I've wandered around and looked at all that stuff. And it's just, that's not the kind of stuff I want to see if I'm about to get on a plane and fly out of somewhere, is pictures of death and destruction and people with guns and knives. And that doesn't put me at ease.
But also, we're talking about that picture. That picture spoke of 5 billion deaths or
Mhm.
something to the effect of that.
Something
Am I
like that.
right?
Yeah.
Five
Yeah.
billion. It was. This is the Illuminati number of 5 billion, right? Right.
Mhm.
Remember, you just said you don't like these numbers. Well, on that video that you made, guess how much you said that airport cost to make?
I believe it was about $5 billion.
Guess how much you said that $5 billion.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
that's the
on five
thing about
billion,
these secret societies and stuff. They like to rub it in people's faces. They like their numbers. They like their dates. And again, this is just all conspiracy theory, and none. It's some of it may be conspiracy fact or headed that way. But if you look at things like that people where they claim there's a conspiracy, there's signs. There's ways, like the Masons, like I talked about my father being a Mason there, they had certain signs, they had certain phrases, they had certain hand gestures to where they could spot one another. My dad could be in a crowd and he could spot a Mason across the room because the way he was standing or the way he was holding his hands or something he did or said. That's the way these people operate as well. I think they signal one another, and it's almost like a joke sometimes. Like, this is our signature. We did this. We signed it in big neon letters, and nobody can do a thing about it. We're untouchable.
well, you have that emblem on your shirt, and the first thing people would say is, "Oh, that's the Illuminati." Well, that's also one of the, isn't that emblem on your dollar bill?
Yep.
Isn't something from
And
that? Isn't
that's
that
the
emblem on
same
your
thing
dollar
that's on
bill?
the dollar bill. And it says on the dollar bill, the Great Seal of the United States. But find me one document of any kind, of any sort, that it's on other than the dollar bill. It's not.
Mr. Stockton, thank you. We'll see you later.
Just call me Steve, brother. That's Mr. Stockton was my father. I appreciate the
Listen,
respect, but
it's an
I'm
honor.
Steve
It's
to
an
you,
honor.
buddy.
Thank you so much for joining us on JimSpiracy. We'll see you later. Thank you. Oh, back with some more news you can use. I like to call this segment here "Truth is Stranger," meaning, you know what, man? Sometimes the truth is stranger than what's actually going on, man. I don't know what the heck. Something strange here. Uh, hey, man, I cannot make some of these stories up. Um, how in the hell is Bigfoot back in the headlines? How is Bigfoot back in the news? But evidently, truth is stranger because two guys are best friends. One's named Larry, one named Jimmy. No pun intended. It says here that an Oklahoma man went fishing. Larry and Jimmy went fishing together, and something happened while they was fishing. And first of all, let me just say this. They wasn't just fishing, y'all. Now, see, I'm very much aware of this type of fishing that they're doing because my co-workers at the sheriff's department used to try to trick me into doing this. They wasn't just fishing. Normal people go, no. This is not what they was doing. They was doing this type of fishing. Black people, I'm telling you, if you ever hear this phrase, do not do it. They was noodling. Do you know what noodling is, y'all? With noodling, they just throw the damn poles in the water. They reach in and catch the fish with their hands. And no, they don't actually reach in and catch their fish with their hands. They actually stick their hand in a hole and the fish bite up into the whole arm and then they pull the arm out. That's a whole nother story by itself. Anyway, okay, nonetheless, that's what they was doing. They was noodling. Okay, and something happened. And somehow or another, Larry ended up murdering Jimmy. And he said he did it because of Bigfoot. Okay. And according to an affidavit obtained by the Oklahomian, it says that, and I quote, Larry advised that he believed that Jimmy was trying to get away from him so that the Sasquatch could eat him, i.e. Larry. The agent reportedly wrote in the report, he wrote that Larry would not let Jimmy get away. Larry punched and struck Jimmy with a stick. Larry and Jimmy fought for an extended amount of time on the ground. And evidently, I hate to say it, but Jimmy lost. And now Larry is being charged with murder because he thought that Jimmy was trying to get away from him so he could feed him to the Sasquatch. Now, I know y'all think that we laughing around here. Y'all think we kidding. But man, that's a true story. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, I know y'all go, there you go. We actually have a witness. We here at JimSpiracy, we get out and we get some facts. I got a witness that was a witness to it. Let's roll that footage, please, sir.
Motherfucker goes in them woods like a damn Bigfoot.
You ever seen one, man?
Crossing the road, scared the shit out of me.
How big was it?
Fuck, about 7 feet. That motherfucker was 7 feet tall. I was scared to death.
What do you want? There you go. Now, I mean, you can't get no more than an eyewitness than that right there. Okay. We laughed at these guys fighting over Sasquatch. Y'all say the Sasquatch ain't real, right? Y'all say they crazy, right? Oh, not so fast. Oh, contraire, mon frere. Look at what turned up in Canada this week. Lucky. A massive primitive skull found in North American forest sparks a Bigfoot frenzy. And no, Brittany Griner has not been released. Look at this skull, y'all. I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is not a Bigfoot skull. That's a Nephilim. What do you do? What? I'm doing a show, man. This is okay. All right, hold on. Wait. Come here. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, come here. This is my son. This is my son, Jamil. Listen, Jamil has been asking me about telling a joke, and I don't really think that. Anyway, you got a joke for us, son?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. Well, speak right into the mic. First of all, tell the people hello.
Hello.
Tell them your name.
My name is Jamil Dodds.
Your name is Jamil Dodds, and you have a joke for us, right?
That's correct.
That is correct. Okay. Go ahead. Give us your joke, Jamil.
Okay. So, 2 whales are sitting at the bar.
2 whales are sitting at a bar.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Speak
One turns to the other and goes, meow. The other will says, "Go home, Steve. You're drunk."
Get out of my room. Get out. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. This man just said, "Go home, Steve. You're drunk." He should probably say, "Go home, Mama. You're drunk." I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to be right back. I think it's time for a Bible story. In the words of my Uncle Russell, prayer is needed right about now on JimSpiracy. Well. This has been an amazing show. I thank you all for just enjoying and being here with me. I shouldn't say enjoying. Bible story for today. I'm going to tell you the story about Daniel in the fiery furnace. Okay? And we've all heard the story. I'm going to rehash it for you, all right? We all know the story. It was this king, an emperor. Some would say he was the big dog. Okay. Some will say that he was a behemoth. Okay. It says that in the Bible, it says that he was larger than most men. And it said that he had an ego that could fill a football stadium. In other words, they said that the man was real fulleth of himself. And he got so full of himself that he demanded that the people all around him, he said that he wanted them to bow down. And he said that if you don't bow down, you can't go into the temple. Well, the temple was like the federal building, and if you didn't bow down into the temple, if you didn't bow down to the king, then you couldn't go into the temple and earn your wages. So in other words, before you can go to work, instead of hitting the time clock, you got to go over and kiss the ring. And at this time, I think the ring was probably on his foot. Okay. Sound kind of familiar. Okay. Anyway, listen to this, man. So there's these three dudes. All right. It's three of them, three brothers. Shadrach, Meshach, and some other Negro. I don't remember what his name is. Bottom line was King Nebuchadnezzar threw the three brothers into the furnace because they refused to bow down to him. Threw them in the furnace and turned the furnace up on crispy just to make sure they got them good and done. And after Nebi turned them up, he looked in on them after about, I think the directions said, cook for 20, 25 minutes. He checked to see if they done, but they still in there kicking. They in there playing hacky sack. They chilling. And they looked, he said, wait a minute. He said, it's 4 of them in there. He said, I only put 3 in there. Nebi's like, how is 4 people? I know I threw 3 of them in there. And it was somebody said, well, it was a heavenly being in there with Shadrach and Meshach and that other one. A heavenly being, you know who that heavenly being was. That heavenly being was Jesus that was in the furnace with him. And Nebi found out that Jesus was in the furnace. And then now he want to start tripping. Oh, get Jesus out the furnace. I didn't put Jesus in the furnace. I put them other 3 in the furnace. nobody told Jesus to get in there. Nebby apologized to Jesus. He said, Jesus, you know I didn't mean no harm, man. This is just something I was doing. I didn't mean no harm. And he apologized. He said he gonna get rid of the law. Talking about everybody got to bow down. Now listen, man, I've heard this story all my life. We heard about it. We've heard about the difference between, there's a difference between hearing a story and living a story, all right? You hear people talking about that furnace, and they said that not feeling the flames. They say they talk about being in the furnace. And what they're talking about is they said they're in the furnace. They said Daniel and the other brothers didn't feel the flames because Jesus was in there with them. Jesus was in there protecting them. See, it don't matter what evil bed of pain and flames some men may prepare for you. It don't matter what man done prepared for you. It matters what God done prepared for you. It don't matter what man say about you. It matters what God say about you. See, it's like this, man. It don't matter what you call. It matters what you answer to. I'm here to tell y'all something, man. I've been in the flames lately. And I done kind of told y'all in this episode what's going on in my life. And hey, man, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I told Pastor Bobby this last time I saw him. I said, hey, man, I'm in the furnace. And I'm here to tell you, man, I was in the furnace then. I'm in the furnace now. And I still ain't got burnt, baby. I'm still wrapped up in the arms of Jesus. And I'm here to tell you something, man. I'm glorified, sanctified, and washed in the blood. And I want to tell you right now, I thank God for every moment, everything. And most of all, I thank him for you. I thank y'all for joining me in this show. I just hope that whatever message, I hope you receive it like it was meant to be received. I'm sorry if you didn't laugh as hard as you were supposed to, but I hope that you think so hard that it make you giggle inside. Listen here, I said it before, I'll say it again, my friend. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent, one from the other, here in JimSpiracy. I'm gonna see you Tuesday night, all right? I'll holler.
Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for.
Yeah, are you not entertained? Ain't this what they tell you hustle for? I'm on my gladiator monologues, Russell Crowe. And honestly, I don't see what the fuss is for. You let your money blow and all we trying to do is sow it. Just so you know, this is Kingdom Biz. No Brooklyn Nets, I think we know who team this is. Come on, come all, and don't forget to bring the kids. And y'all gon' need a different planet just to dream this big. So bring your stacks to the table, and I'ma bring my faith. And at the end of the day, we gon' see who win in this race. And since God is the judge, he'll probably throw out my case. So do us a favor, get that look off your face. They be like, you spit that fire, got them industry rap. Why you doing that Christian rap? Nobody listen to that. And I reply with a sigh like I'm missing the fact. I'm trying to spread this holy gospel till my savior get back.
I'm going in one time, these record labels all in my face, trying to forfeit my race. But still I'm going in one time, no matter the opposition I face, staying true to my faith. I'm about to give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Give them what they want, what they need, what they ask for. Well, everything they offer, yeah, I'ma give it back. You can have it, crossing the world on my back, Mr. Atlas. I'm trying to get the people what they lacking. That's why I act a donkey on the track. Hit a passion, got something to say. You wanted to play, then come running my way and ruin G status is dead. No, ready to go, about to go in, you already know. Got my instructions, now give me your audience, hand me your mic and I'm ready to blow. One for the money, two for the show, three for everybody who encouraged me to go, get it. We finally did it, I ain't never turning back, shawty. I'm beats. I'm committed to the city, committed to the streets. I'm committed till they get it. Now people calling my phone check, telling me to not hold back. Bring back that old set. Bet it up, I'm on that. Going in one time, these record labels all in my face, trying to whoop in my race. But still I'm going in one time, no matter the opposition I face, staying true to my faith.
Hey man, if I'm not mistaken, this is where they blew the building where the bomb went off at. Remember hearing the story about it was on Christmas Day, and it was like right outside the AT&T Stadium or whatever, the AT&T building, and it was a RV, and the RV like started counting down, and it was like, it moved from the vehicle, 9, 8, and actually people kind of started moving, and the RV blew up. And for some reason, I don't know why this thing didn't really get as much run as it probably should have. But I think that if you look at these buildings, there's still damage here from that. See that building right there? It ain't failed yet. Why did that building at the World Trade Center fall down? Not both of them, the other building that fell down for no reason. That building ain't fell down, and that building has damage. That building has major structural damage, and it ain't fell down yet. Now that's conspiracy for your arse.